I am leaving Rome, New York. I've been here a couple of days. One of the attractions, the big reason I was here was Fort Stanwick National Monument or National Park. And so I spent a couple of days here touring the park. Also, I was here on a Sunday, so I was able to catch a church service, which was greatly appreciated. I've had lots and lots of blessings. And so now we are going to be heading for Lake Oneida. And I have said a number of times that my autopilot is fixed. Well, guess what? It's not fixed. And the last guy he took a look at, he says, well, everything looks all right. Oh, it's just operator's error. And I punched in there along the dock a route, and it appeared that it was going to follow the route. I did not test it out, and that was my mistake because it still is not working. And fortunately, I had posted something along in. I belong to 3 different Facebook groups. One group is the Sea Dory group, and then of course I have my Facebook page. And then I also belong to, well, the Great Loop page. And I also belong to my high school graduation year Facebook group. And so I posted in each one of those that I was still having difficulty with my autopilot. And one of the gals on the Facebook page said her husband knows what the problem is. So I called Charles up, and he asked me a few questions, and he asked me about the installation of the autopilot, how that went. And I told him, well, I had both the autopilot and the hydraulic steering pump replaced at the same time. And as soon as I had the boat back, I went out and attempted to calibrate it. And during that time, the steering was really, really loose. And I thought originally, oh, that's great, because now with this new pump, my steering's going to be a lot easier, and that's super. And as it turns out, I couldn't hold a course. It kept going back and forth, and then I had to keep steering all the time. And so I began thinking about that a little bit more. And that sounded to me like there was an issue with air in the hydraulic system. And so I pulled the little fuel cap off of the top of the hydraulic pump, which is right behind the steering wheel. And sure enough, it is bone dry. There is no hydraulic fluid in there. And so I had to fill it up with hydraulic fluid. I then went through the process of bleeding it, which I needed to order a kit. I got that from Amazon. I bled that still in Massachusetts. And the steering seemed to be okay, as far as slop in the steering. And so with that, I thought I had it solved again. Well, I didn't. The autopilot still didn't work really well. And so I had another person look at it when I got to Massachusetts. There, that should be better. Close the door in the back so there's not quite so much noise. I got a boat up ahead of me. It's probably moving around about 7 miles an hour. I'm going to try and catch up to it so we go through the rocks at the same time. And so we'll pour the metal to it a little bit here. Get going. And so Charles said that's the problem, is that the steering was sloppy, the hydraulics, and so the autopilot went and overcorrected itself. Through a series of different phone calls, we developed a plan of attack. where I'm going to get in. I need to be in a big body of water, so I need to get up to Lake Oneida. It needs to be a calm day. That could be a challenge. There's a little bit of a wind today, and and so I've targeted a couple different places to stop where I could start doing the process of recalibrating the autopilot. So that's the big agenda today. And the interesting thing about Rome, again, which really made me stop in Rome, was Fort Stanwix. And actually, Fort Stanwix was first built back in 1758 by the British. And along the route, I'm going to have a whole video on the history of Fort Stanwix and photos, things of that nature, for you to review at a later date. So I was in Rome for a couple days, had an opportunity to restock, got some good exercises in. I am really pleased with my body right now. I was having difficulty with my back, and I'd gone to a chiropractor in Kingston, and he helped a little bit, but not a lot. And then I found another chiropractor in Scotia, New York, and boy, did he help me out. He used a little machine that just kind of pokes you, and it worked like a charm. When he was done with, because I couldn't even stand it. When I was in the chair, I could not even stand up without pain. And so after my session with him, I sat in the chair, stood up, and holy smokes, what a difference. And so I recommitted myself to getting back to my original exercise program. I've stopped doing the yoga because I don't think that was helping me any. And so I stopped doing that, and I've started doing my other exercises that I have done in the past. And this morning I felt great. Today was a walking day, and I put in a little bit over 3 miles, and it went marvelous. I felt really great. After the walk, then I did my stretching. And with the stretching, when I walk, I also do push-ups, 2 sets of push-ups, and I was able to increase my push-ups that I was doing. The stretches felt so much better. My body feels really, really good, and I am really excited about that. And so that's about it for right now. And leaving Rome, heading for Oneida to fix my autopilot. Thanks for tuning in.